Welcome back to my channel, friends. This is Sonia here, and today finally I'm doing a video on distress oxide and distressing. This was one of the very much requested video, and finally I thought I should do it, and I had to do it, and today I'm doing it. So first of all, these are the two different ink pads. This is from Tim Holtz Ranger collection, and yes, I have been using this for quite some time now. Distress ink. So I just wanted to tell you that I have these four different shades: yellow, sea green, purple and pink, and I have these ones for more than 4 years now, but I still use them and they are still so juicy. Trust me, they are superb. This is something which I bought very recently, say around a year back, and since then I have been using this. This is really good. I have these shades in my distress oxide because these are the most common colors which I used for my card making, and I really wanted to try distress oxide, so I just bought this one shade, and honestly I did not got any chance of buying some more shades, so I'm still managing with just one shades. Because nowadays I've been doing more of mixed media projects, so using distress oxide ink and these two shades, like these two kind of ink pads has toned down a little lesser, but definitely I use them still. Now first, on the size basis, the distress ink pads, they are available in the market in two sizes. One is this mini ink pad and the other one is 3x3 cubes, which is almost of this size. And in the distress oxide, I guess they have just this size only. They still don't, they have not come up with any smaller size. Secondly, they are different because this one is dye based ink, this one is pigmented plus a tinge of dye based ink, so the quality of these two is very different when it comes to your coloring and blending. So now this was the basic difference. This is dye based, this is pigmented majorly and a bit of dye based ink. Secondly, the sizes, you have two sizes in this, it has only one size right now. And now it's time to experiment these on our cardstock. Now I just wanted to show you that here I have three varieties of cardstock. So this is one of my textured cardstock, the colored ones. Then I have these watercolor papers, and then I have this thick cardstock which we use for our card making, which I personally use for my card making. So this is really thick. These are around 280 GSM. This is around 180 GSM, and I think this is around 230 GSM. So the reason why I chose three different papers is because whenever you are playing around with the inks with a different surface, they blend differently, and broadly being a crafter, we use three these kind of papers whenever we are doing any scrapbooking project or tag making project. So I thought this will be a good way to experiment with your shades. For the starting with the differences between these two, I'll start with my regular cardstock. So again, this is a very thicker one, and I just wanted to show you that how it looks when you blend the colors. Now I have these two sponge daubers. Don't go with the color because it has most of the yellow distress ink only. So I'll start with the coloring, the blending colors. So first, for my distress ink, I'm going to have my ink on this. I'll start with my base. Now whenever you're doing your color blending and coloring your cardstocks or scrapbooking, your basic tip is do not start with the cardstock or your paper first. You should always start with your table or the base and then move on to your paper. This will actually help you in having a good blend. Now here I did the blending, and maybe I need to just tone down, and I'll zoom in a bit. So if you see now, this has a yellowish shade here on the edges, and now it's time to do my oxidized ink. I'm just going to take this color and I'm going to start blending it from the outer surface, and you can see how smoothly this blends. So you can see two different shades. Now definitely the shades look really different when it comes to your distress ink and your oxidized ink, so the colors are a bit different. Now we are going to try the same thing on our dark color cardstock just to see how exactly the color looks. So again, I'll start with my distress ink and I'll distress this on the corner, and can you see the darker shade it has come? Now we are going to try with our oxidized, and now we are going to blend this, and like I said, I'm going to start it from my table base and then I'm going to take it to my cardstock. Now can you see this? This is a distress and this is the oxidized ink, and if you actually see, there is a difference in color when you use the same inks on a white color cardstock and the dark base surface, the dark color cardstock. For my next technique, I am going to use my watercolor paper, and I'm going to use two different papers because here I'm going to use my water spray, and I thought it will be a good idea to have two different papers here. Now first I'm going to have my distress ink and I'm going to just rub it on my cardstock, and here I'm going to have my oxidized ink, and now I am going to spray my water. So here I have a spray bottle which has a clean water, and now can you really see the difference? So if you see the distress ink, the color is actually more settled. The blending is a little lesser, a little more actually, and here the color is really prominent. So I guess if you will be coloring like playing around with 2-3 different shades, that will be much easier to have nice blending colors. When you're doing it with the distress ink, the blending will be more. When you're doing with the distress oxide, the colors are going to be really solid. So if you're playing with 2-3 different shades, you can have a nice background with the oxidized one. And now it's time to move on to the third trial. So this is going to be the watercoloring thing. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my distress ink on my acrylic block. Make sure your acrylic block is really clean. And now I'm going to spray some water on my ink. I'm not sure if that is visible. Okay, yeah, that is visible on camera. And now I'm going to do it on my watercolor paper. And you can see a very thin layer of color. Can you see the darker shade here? Maybe I can just rub it. And now you can see some color. And now it's time to try the oxidized ink, and here I'm just going to dab some lime because oxidized ink they are just so juicy, and you can see how solid these colors look. And now with my another brush, I am going to do the coloring work. Now for my personal preference, I always love using my distress oxide when it comes to watercoloring because they give such nice solid coloring, especially when I'm doing my mandalas or my abstract sketching. I love doing my oxidized ink a lot. Distress, I love using my distress oxidized a lot. So when it comes to distress ink and oxide, I prefer having distress oxide, but you can definitely try with other colors. Maybe I can just show you distressed ink with one more shade. Maybe yellow was very light, and I can have this here, so you can see definitely the color difference is there. But if you want to see the coverage and how solid your colors look, then definitely distress oxides are better than your distress ink. Now it's time to try embossing. So here I have my distress ink, my oxidized ink, and my embossing powder, and my stamp, and my cardstock. Now I will be doing it one by one so that I do not mix and confuse you all. So here first I am going to have I'll use green color distress ink, and I'm going to stamp it really well. I want my stamp to have good color ink, and once I'm done with that, I am going to stamp it on my image. So this is actually really cool idea. If you have only white color embossing powder, like I have only just the white color powder, so my distress ink and my oxidized inks are just too good to have nice shades and too many coloring options. I don't need to tap too much, just a bit of it, and I will take up all the extra back to my, and now I'm going to use my heat gun, and I'm keeping it a little close so that you all can see that how it turns out. So my embossing is done, and this looks really cool. And now I'm going to do the embossing with my distress oxide, and again I need to make sure that my ink is really well on my stamp. Now with the oxidized ink, the inks are so prominent that you actually can see it if your stamp has got these well or not. I'm going to have this with a good press, and now again I'm going to have my plain paper. I'll put some embossing powder. I'll just take the extra, and now I'm going to collect it back to my container. And now it's time to emboss this. So again I'm using my heat gun, and I'm going to make sure that I keep on moving my heat gun. So whenever you're doing your and now I'm going to use my heat gun. So now when it comes to the embossing, there is no difference in your dye based and your oxidized ink. These are pretty similar. So yes, so these were the few of the differences which we did today, and I really loved this video making, and I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I hope you'll enjoyed this tutorial too. If you have any more queries, please do comment down. I'll be more than happy to help you guys, and thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.